everyone, welcome back to my channel that is Your Dizzy Talk and आज हम बात करेंगे about sensory issues in the autism spectrum disorder. As I've talked about this in my earlier videos कि क्या कुछ sensory issues इसमें हो सकते हैं. That means for example is not just one एक sensory issues में होगा. There can be a variety of symptoms and each autistic child, as I have told you many a times, every autistic child is different. एंड दैट इज़ वाई उनकी नीड्स डिफरेंट होती हैं. उनके लिए डिफरेंट सेंसरी इश्यूज़ का बहुत सारे विच आई एम गोना टॉक अबाउट इन फर्दर इन माई वीडियो. बहुत सारे डिफरेंट लेवल्स होते हैं एट विच वी हैव टू एसेस देम एंड एसेस देयर प्रोग्रेस ऑफ कोर्स. सो स्टार्टिंग विद सेंसरी इश्यूज़ में होता क्या है, व्हाट इज़ सेंसरी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मीन्स. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम लोगों को पता नहीं होता है कि सेंसरी इश्यूज़ होते क्या है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सेंसरी इश्यूज़ मीन्स ऑल दोज इश्यूज़ which involved our sensation, and sensation is just not just with one thing that we have in our body. हमारी body में there we have organs for sense, right? For organs for sight, for example vision, taste, and also sounds सुनने का, ठीक है, and also touch. That can be also called as a proprioception. Proprioception means आपके आसपास की जो environment है उसमें आप अपनी body को कैसे balance कर रहे हो and all that. Plus balance functioning. Balance functioning is how do you walk and how do you get yourself stable. These all are the most important parts जिसके ऊपर sensory issues based होते हैं, right? So what happens in sensory issues is, for example, if we talk about sight, right? Sight में क्या होता है कि there are children who don't like bright lights and who don't like some कुछ ऐसे चमकती हुई lights or some continuous lights as well. So we can call it as a hypersensitivity to light or a hyposensitivity to light. Some children like to stay in the dark only and some children don't like dark, मतलब उनको अंधेरे में पसंद नहीं आता. So that can be a part of sight. Sounds में we can say that some children don't like specific sounds. जैसे कि अगर उनको if we are in an environment जहाँ पर बहुत सारे sounds create हो रहे हैं, that is a natural environment, right? हमारे लिए वो normal है, but they might not be normal for them. So that can be कि कुछ ना कुछ screeching sounds of the shoes or any kind of sound which is naturally made and the children don't want to hear it. So most of the time you might find them doing like this, right? So they cover their ears just because they don't want to hear that sound. That is what we call is a sensory issue regarding sounds, right? Taste. Some children are there जिनको कुछ specific taste पसंद नहीं है. जैसे किसी को खट्टा पसंद नहीं है, citrusy fruits as well, and some children don't like sugar. So what happens is वो specific उस चीज़ के मिलने पर they start reacting to that because they can't tell you, right? They can't express that they like it or they don't like it. So that is what happens कि वो उस specific चीज़ के taste आने से they react to it and they don't want it. That is why they sometimes get hyperactive as a reason of that. Fine. Touch. Sometimes few autistic children are there जिनको touch नहीं पसंद है. For example, a specific touch that किसी को हो सकता है कि जैसे कुछ granular touch पसंद हो, किसी को हो सकता है वही granular touch पसंद नहीं हो. Sometimes few autistic children like that soft touch and sometimes other children don't. That is why we most of the times while providing in an occupational therapy or something therapy like that, उसमें क्या करते हैं कि different types के textures we used to get the children and make them feel it, right? Granular or some slimy or something like that, so that they know that what are the different textures, and we should also know कि what are the different textures that this child doesn't like it. So most of the times we will try कि वो हम उसे ना दें if that child is reacting to that, right? Also balance. Few children, autistic children are there जो अपना balance नहीं बना पाते हैं. Balance means they can't stand properly. They most of the times feel themselves as weak. वैसे उनमें बहुत strength होगी. They do have muscular strength and they don't have any kind of a trophy or something. उनके muscles बिल्कुल ठीक है, उनका body musculature and everything else is fine. They eat well, but they don't balance it. They don't balance themselves. They tend to show you as they are weak. They don't do most of the gross motor activities which they tend to do by their age milestone that they have to achieve. So that is why we need to give more efforts on their gross motor skills while providing therapy. Fine. सो दीज आर ऑल द थिंग्स. अब क्या है कि नेक्स्ट पार्ट आता है हमारे वीडियो का, विच आई एम गोना टेल यू अबाउट द डिफरेंट टर्म्स, जिससे वी नीड टू बी अवेयर एंड आफ्टरवर्ड्स वी नीड टू बी नोइंग कि इफ what is the importance of all these terms. First is hyper or hyposensitivity. Hypersensitivity, as I told you, hypersensitivity is sensitivity which is on another level or on more level to something which is normal for us. Fine. तो hypersensitivity में we can say that the children don't like to be, you know, as I told you कि अगर वो टच करते किसी चीज़ को, जैसे if there is some kind of, you know, granular things, अगर ग्रेनी या कुछ मार्बल्स हम उनको उठा दें, some children don't like it. So while they by chance or they mistakenly touch it, they might get some reaction towards it because they can't handle that. Fine. Because they don't like it. That is why they become hypersensitive to such a small thing. Hyposensitivity means sometimes I'll give you the same example with skin only. कुछ चिल्ड्रन ऐसे होते हैं ऑटिज्म में जिनका हॉट एंड कोल्ड का उनको सेंसिटिविटी समझ में नहीं आती है, दैट दिस इज़ वार्म और दिस इज़ कोल्ड, इसे मुझे गर्म है तो मुझे टच नहीं करना है, दिस इज़ समथिंग रियली हॉट, राइट. सो दैट इज़ वाई दे डोंट react to certain levels of hot or certain levels of cold. That is what is defined by hyper or hyposensitivity. Also, as I told you in before example, sound में भी कुछ sounds they don't like it, so that is why they used to cover themselves, cover their ears, that is why, so that they don't hear it. Fine. Also, next term we are going to talk about is stimming. Stimming means क्या होता है? It is a continuous vocalization of an autistic child to prevent themselves from the things happening around them which they don't want to. फाइन. स्टिमिंग इज़ वोकलाइजेशन. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम वो अपना स्पीच जो है वो अपने आप को जो है वो एक्सप्रेस ही ऐसे करते हैं बाय गोइंग बैक एंड फोर्थ, मूविंग देमसेल्व्स and making some vocalizations, as I've told in my previous videos, something like that. Fine. That is what they have told. Sometimes क्या होता है कि नेक्स्ट टॉपिक के बारे में हम इसी में ही बात करेंगे, दैट इज़ अ सेंसरी ओवरलोड. ठीक है. सेंसरी ओवरलोड इज़ समथिंग जिसमें there is a lot of sensitivity towards the child happened all at once. तो अगर एक बच्चे को आप सेंसरी ओवरलोड में वो जा रहा है, वाई? बिकॉज फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ देयर इज़ अ चाइल्ड विच इज़ ज़्यादा सीवियर केस नहीं है ऑटिज्म का, एंड दैट चाइल्ड नोज कि मुझे ये सेंसरी इश्यूज़ है. ठीक है. व्हाट हैपन इज़ इफ़ ही हिमसेल्फ ट्राइज कि वो उस सेंसरी ओवरलोड में नहीं जाए, यानी कि वो अब उसने अपने सेंसरी इश्यूज़ को वो टैकल कर ले, he will continuously think about it, he will continuously do something about it, and that is why उस point पे उस सब चीज़ को टैकल करने की वजह से that autistic child will have a sensory overload, and that is why it can cause a burnout or an outburst we say. That is why उनके कुछ outbursts हमें देखने को मिल सकते हैं. So that is what is known as a sensory overload. Fine. Also it can be called as a shutdown or meltdown. Shutdown और meltdown में मेन डिफरेंस ये है कि shutdown means they don't react to certain things. If they have gotten a sensory overload or something, उनको बहुत टाइम से they have done few things, right? कुछ टाइम के बाद they might shut down, right? Shut down not as in a complete shutdown. Shutdown means they don't react to certain things. They just completely stop doing what they used to do, what they used to talk, or what they used to behave like as before. So that is what a shutdown is. Meltdown is something as an outburst, but in an emotional way. So emotional way if we talk about, meltdown is something that they completely get an outburst within emotions. Either they cry, either they scream, or either they just completely sit still, don't say anything, kind of like that. Fine. This is all is referred to as different types of sensory issues in an autistic child. So now अब हम कर क्या सकते हैं उसके बारे में, like as a clinician what we can do, and as a parent or a guardian who wants their child to be free of these sensory issues. See, we cannot tackle them completely, they cannot go, but जितना हो सके हम उसको near to normal तो ला सकते हैं. That is done by using accommodations. Accommodation is the environment modification. जो चीज़ों से बच्चे को sensory issues हो रहे हैं, we have to figure them out, we have to write them out and let the environment change, and change for them, and let them know as well that these are the things जो आपको नहीं अच्छी लगती है, and these are the things which आपको अच्छी लगती है. फाइन. एंड दीज आर द वेज जिसमें आप टैकल कर सकते हो, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम प्रिवेंट करना कि ऐसा इन्वायरमेंट उनके लिए क्रिएट ही ना हो जिसकी वजह से उन्हें आउटबर्स्ट हो. फाइन. And from this video, if any of you have any queries, you can please comment me down, and thank you so much. Please stay tuned, please subscribe my channel, share this as much as possible, and thank you so much. Love you. Bye.